first name that came to me was Mr. Karan Johar.
It seems like a very strange partnership. Movie director, producer, partnering with a jewelry brand.
Honestly, Sandeep, my first 3 years were really tough. My father said, "तुम धंधा नहीं कर पाओगे." Money doesn't come easily, and people's trust comes even tougher. I mean, I used to have one customer in 2 weeks' time. When I entered business 30 years back, the first thing I told, jewelry is not an investment. However, I can contradict myself to say that today,
You also have probably some of the most well-known celebrities in India buying from you.
we actually ended up onboarding called the Forces of Tyani, where they had Pusha Kapila, Rasika Dugal, Shweta Tripathi, Kalki. Karan said, "Where are the men?" So we went on to then have on board very unusual name.
Shravan, you grew up around jewelry. You've seen pieces like these when you were growing up. How was it being in a family which was always in jewelry?
So I started off in a family of diamond dealers rather than jewelers. Somewhere my father saw me scribbling when I used to talk on the phone, and he felt that this guy may be good at design. He would actually see my rough pads and say, "Ye jewelry design kar sakega." And I actually started to believe in myself. So I went next steps, took the flight out and landed up at the Gemological Institute of America.
And what was the contrast that you were seeing in the way jewelry was being worked on in India versus what you were studying in, say, New York?
The hygiene levels abroad, they would focus more on precision rather than design.
Okay.
As in, internationally, they don't touch diamonds with their hands.
Okay.
Even to pick a diamond, they would take something called a tweezer. It's a tool.
Okay.
So when I came back here and I started to pick a tweezer, my father said, "तुम धंधा नहीं कर पाओगे. You need to use your hands, because diamonds here are virtually the size of dust.
Okay.
And to pick up dust, we had to know how to pick it up with our own hands.
Sure.
However, I can contradict myself to say that today everybody is majority using the tweezer technology, which has gotten sharper and better. So yes, coming from abroad, you come with your own set of ideologies. If you are able to mold and adapt to the Indian ways, it's the best recipe for success. If you get stuck in that world saying that that's how the West works, India is a different beast altogether. So yeah, it was a great learning, and I had to mold myself, adapt myself to mix both my learnings as well as how the old world worked.
Shravan, how did Tyani come to be?
So Tyani came to be at a point where I used to own a single standalone store. Ticket size was starting at 10 lakhs and going upwards. People would come to me and buy extravagant pieces of jewelry. Then I realized that if I'm not standing behind the counter, they ain't buying.
Yeah.
So I realized that for how long? I said, tomorrow, suppose, let's say somebody else steps into my shoes and they are unable to sell, then what am I leaving behind? So it's going to be a legacy brand. Means legacy brand, all that you worked in for is never going to have received its recognition till you are present solely. So I decided to look at Tyani. Tyani came about where we thought that we should build a brand which is based on great design, great sensibilities, at the same time correct price points, giving so much of transparency and accuracy that a person doesn't have to ask you a question and will come about to purchase that piece of jewelry. To do so, I needed somebody who was really, really solid. And the first thing that came to me was Mr. Karan Johar.
It seems like a very strange partnership. Somebody who's a movie director, producer, partnering with a jewelry brand. How did that concept even come up?
So Karan is a friend, and when we sat down to analyze how are we going to reach out to larger audiences, upon speaking with Karan multiple times, I realized that you will not get a more solid individual like him who understands his art and craft. At the same time, his aesthetics are brilliant. So sometimes I joke with him when I see his movies. I say, "Karan, in your movies, even that tiffin box is painted. That's the level of attention you pay to detail.
Sure.
Imagine what you can bring to us on the jewelry front.
Yeah.
You talk passionately about clothes, you talk about beautiful, larger than life movie sets. Why not us go and build something larger than life on the jewelry front, which is not expensive?
Got it.
So he said, let's do it. But he was very clear. He's saying, Shravan, no boundaries.
What does that mean?
No boundaries mean don't define yourself just to India.
Okay.
Open up your thought process to the entire world. Make jewelry and build jewelry, even if it is Indian in terms of look and visual art form,
Yeah.
but should be accessible and wearable for somebody international. So we have these international brides wearing our long chandbalis and not tugging at their ears. We built smart, traditional, but yet modern looking pieces of jewelry. So Tiani's been a great journey in terms of mixing blends of cultures between Indian and Western, and with Karan's philosophy of, no holds barred. Don't term yourself as an Indian jeweler. Do what you're doing, but subtly imbibe those values.
And on a regular basis, on a sort of day-to-day interaction, which are the actual elements where somebody like Karan Johar is involved? So is it about the design? Is it about business acumen? Is it about getting your distribution?
A lot of aunties ask us this question. Yeah, Karan Johar dukaan mein dikhai nahi de raha. I said, he's got other things to do. I meet him once a week. He's very, very hands-on. Great vision. So it helps me stay on my toes. We talk about, how do I say, what color would represent the season upcoming, what kind of styles we need to be working around. A large part of our new upcoming men's collection has been based on Karan actually badgering me and saying that, Shravan, listen, you're taking men's jewelry very lightly. It's a huge segment. So I said, Karan, but in men's jewelry, if I build a bracelet, a man wants to wear a bracelet which is 50 grams, which costs today 5 lakh rupees. How am I going to convince him? He's going to say, take that money and give it to the wife. And he's going to buy himself a sports car.
Yeah.
And that ideology has changed drastically. Men are wearing necklaces today for their own weddings and then gifting it to the women post that. And that's not a small ticket size. So we're not talking about something which is, like flimsy or light. We're talking about expensive jewelry being worn by men. Men are wearing brooches which are larger than life statements, and those come back to us, and then we need to restring them into chokers or make them into necklaces. So the design aesthetics, a lot of the foundation has been laid by Karan. I mean, I will not say that Karan invests his entire time into the design front, because he's the face of the brand, but clearly he sets a vision for us to work around. And if you see him of late wearing those bling chunky rings, that's a collection which is entirely designed by him. I was in fact surprised to see that, I said, Karan, these are too big. And he said, Shravan, I will wear them, and men will wear them, and women will chase them. Believe me, that aspirational factor, I mean, we have women across. We opened our store in Lucknow, and there were people saying, please, wo 3 Karan Johar ke ring mere liye side pe rakhna before the opening. It's absolutely the with jewelry today, it's become metrosexual. I mean, you have all these big rap stars wearing jewelry. You've got brides and grooms wearing jewelry. So jewelry knows no boundary.
Yeah. And for you, Shravan, what was the biggest change you said that you want to bring in the business?
The industry per se, when I started off 30 years back, was very value-driven, not design-driven per se. A woman was given a really heavy piece of jewelry to wear. Necklaces used to weigh 300, 400, 500 grams.
Wow.
So it was vanity over practicality. But they would still wear it. Why? Because they wanted to look beautiful for that particular day. What I wanted to bring in back then, and it reflects on my career today, is I wanted to build something that was extravagant, but at the same time, very practical. So I would always pay more attention to focus on techniques to build jewelry which was lighter, not lighter in terms of asset-wise lighter, but just generally comfort-wise lighter, and yet look opulent.
Shravan, you've seen the business of jewelry very closely. What did the traditional jewelry business look like? What was the supply chains? What were the kind of margins being made in this category before you came in? And even today, when you see some traditional jewelers, like how are their business models different?
I think for us jeweler to sustain today, you've got two different again spheres. One is the diamond jewelry segment and the gold. Almost 80% of the sales is still gold driven singularly. And just 20% of the market is relying on diamond in the fine jewelry segment.
Yeah.
Initially, when I started off, jewelers used to work on a margin, to be really honest with you, of anywhere between 10 to 12%.
Okay.
That too in the diamond segment. In the gold segment, it was anywhere between 5 to 7%.
Wow.
I mean, I myself have seen a period of time where I would actually work on just 2 or 3% margin on really large size orders. Honestly, Sandeep, my first 3 years were really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, jewelry, like you've built this company Deserve from scratch. Money doesn't come easily. And people's trust comes even tougher.
Yeah.
There were days, I mean, I used to have one customer in 2 weeks' time. Slowly, it took me time to actually start reaching out to more and more people. We had no social media then. If I had social media, I would be 100x stronger today.
Yeah.
We had no social media. We had solid designing structures, great ideas, but no audience. Because the audience back then said, if I know you, if you're from a known family, if you're trustworthy, only then will I buy from you. And I had nothing backing me in the retail segment back then.
Yeah.
So I had customers who would come in and I would actually sketch and design for them free and tell them, please take this sketch, go to your trusted jeweler, make the design from them. They actually did that. Now those people started to wear my designs,
Yeah.
but they would actually talk to each other and say, you know what, I built this from my local jeweler, but Shravan designed it for me. They think he's designing really good. Let's go back and see what he can do.
Yeah.
And this word of mouth then propelled into helping me scale the business. Slowly, gradually with trust, it took time. And then from there onwards, once you're set in this business after 3 or 5 years' time, no looking back.
Yeah, because the trust keeps compounding from there on.
Absolutely.
But if today we were to set up a new brand, how would somebody build that trust?
You know, the world is shifting very rapidly. Marketing is a very big factor, but marketing is also confusing. People are being thrown into different segments called lab-grown diamonds, demi-fine jewelry, fine jewelry. So your audience is scattered. We had a very tight audience once upon a time. But the industry per se, not holding itself together, has confused the customer drastically. So if I talk about fine jewelry specifically, I feel having a solid partner in the form of, let's say I have Mr. Karan Johar as a partner, or if you have somebody solid who's working alongside with you from a reputable, credible backing, or then you have a parent brand who's been in the business for a longer period of time, I see those brands sustaining on a longer period.
So jumpstarting the trust using some sort of a partnership or brand association, you feel can be one of the ways to hack into trust early on.
Yes, for sure.
Shravan, this, from the outside in, and forgive me if I'm wrong about this, the online jewelry market looks very crowded. How do you differentiate in this environment?
We are not competing with anybody. Not on the online, not on the offline.
Okay.
On the online, we actually have no competitors. They are more price conscious. What has happened to the world, Sandeep, if you look, is the world today is data driven. Data defines inventory. And to us at Tiani, I feel data bores a human being. Data will curb creativity. So if you say, why would you remember a designer? Because he does something path-breaking. But data will never let you do anything path-breaking. Brands need to pick up on this and understand this. So when you come to the difficult space of online, online is crowded because of data. Everybody is targeting that 25 to 50,000 rupee segment. Tiani is catering to an audience who is purchasing online with an average ticket size of 2 to 2.5 lakh rupees. Very difficult to build trust in that segment. We were lucky and fortunate that we had pandemic on our side. Once you would purchase from a brand who's great in service and customer experience, the repeat ratio increases plus word of mouth increases. So I would say I've been lucky.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, the luck is a big factor.
I think you're being humble, but I think there are a lot of steps that you've taken which have actually contributed to it. Shravan, if you were to paint the picture of who your ideal customer today is, and how does then that influence what you produce for them?
So my audience would be new age brides who are looking to buy jewelry which is luxurious, beautiful, at the same time not too expensive or not too heavy on the pockets, because a lot of people, doesn't matter what kind of economics you or your household has or what kind of money you make, even the wealthiest of brides today tell their parents that please buy a necklace from us in the range of 10 lakhs and not in the range of 50 lakh rupees, and give us that 40 lakhs, we'll go and invest it into the stock market. So that's how prudent brides have become today.
Sure.
So I think you're stealing away most of our business.
It's a good partnership then we have.
Yeah, no, honestly, when I go into tier 2 and tier 3 cities and when I talk to well-to-do modern women who are also aspirational
Yeah.
and are from professional backgrounds, I think 10% we'll give you, but 90% we'll put in the stock market. And once you start making money over there, you're not removing that compounding money, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so our audience is going to be that design-driven audience who wants to sensibly spend their money.
I love how, your business is both a combination of creativity and practicality, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And in this segment, Shravan, do you see that change happening where people are buying jewelry to wear it versus as an heirloom?
When I entered business 30 years back, the first thing I told every friend and every buyer is, jewelry is a luxury commodity which you get money back for. Jewelry is not an investment. Jewelry doesn't grow. Jewelry doesn't hold that level of appreciation that you put it on a pedestal. It's an emotion.
Yeah.
If you ask me to carry a luxury handbag versus a duplicate luxury handbag, the woman carrying the real versus the fake will always feel that insecurity within her.
Yeah.
So when you see people talking and harping about lab-grown diamonds, I'm not averse to them. I think every kind of commodity has its place. But when you compare that comparing of lab-grown to the real, lab-grown is going to be lab-grown, diamonds is going to be diamonds. It's an emotion. You'll never want to carry a fake.
And to that extent, do customers also understand this difference between lab-grown and real?
100%. Multiple times actually I've got customers who come in and say, we want to buy a solitaire. I say, why did you go and buy lab-grown? They say, are you a jeweler of precious jewelry? I said, yeah. I said, you know what? What's the harm? If you want to spend an X amount of money on a real solitaire, and if it costs, say, for example, 1 lakh of rupees, but you could invest 80,000-90,000 in the stock market or into the real estate and buy something which looks the same for X value. Saying we're not comfortable wearing it and stop giving us advice. We know what we're doing. That money is aside. This is something else. You will never understand a woman's emotion is what I have to hear. And I do understand it because there are some things which are beyond money.
Yeah, I love how, because even in finance, they say personal finance is more personal than it is finance. I think even here, in a lot of luxury brands, it's about the emotion that the brand invokes or the article invokes, rather than just the monetary value of it. You spoke about one customer segment that you have, which is maybe working women or people from well-to-do families, brides, young brides who are looking at this kind of jewelry. But on the other hand, you also have probably some of the most well-known celebrities in India or industrial families or business families in India buying from you. Why do they also buy from Tiani? What is their motivation?
We do jewelry which is catering to every audience. We do higher luxury jewelry as well. As the industry knows that usually celebrities wear jewelry, get you your photo ops and return your jewelry back. That's how this whole industry works.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yes. We are fortunate that because of our price points, celebrities actually, when they're getting married, we are one of their go-to jewelers because they know that they're not going to get overcharged. They've actually dealt with multiple jewelers. And the thing is, honestly, also growing up in Bandra, we've actually grown up with the celebrity. So they actually feel like they're a part of us.
Sure.
So they are fearful that, Arey, this gentleman will see our face or know our name and is going to jack up the price by 100%. That doesn't happen with us over here. Coming on the celebrity front and understanding our customer audience, what Tiani did is our team sat down. This year they studied the entire country, length and breadth. And they said, you know, let us do something innovative. What they did is we actually ended up onboarding something which is called the Forces of Tiani, where they had Chef Ali Shah, Tilotma Shom, Rasika Dugal, Shweta Tripathi, Kalki, Jia Shankar, Shalini Pandey. We have Mahib Kapoor, who also helps us with designing the jewelry. Karan said, where are the men? So we said, great. We went on to then have on board a gentleman called Lakshya. He's coming in a really large Netflix series. Jim Sarb, very unusual name, but supremely talented actor and really stylish. We have Karan himself. We have a really vibrant face in the name of Kusha Kapila and an icon in the name of Zinat Aman. So we put together these people from the industry who are not just your pretty faces. They are people with solid talent and they resonate with our audience.
No, I think it's fascinating how you've curated the people that you will partner with, right? Because these are not names that naturally come to mind, to be honest, when you talk about a celebrity endorsing a jewelry brand. It'd be typically maybe the top tier Bollywood stars and the female stars within them. But these are also accomplished people, and yet they are different from the rest of the crowd. Shravan, I want to talk a little bit about the business side of things. What are the economics in a business like this? Which are, like, if you were to think about the $100 at which you retail a piece of jewelry, what are the components behind it? How do you think about it? How much is manufacturing? How much is the price of the asset? How much is, let's say, the cost of marketing? So if you can just walk us through some of that.
Sure. I'm going to give you two aspects to this.
Sure.
The first aspect is to answer to your question of the 100 rupee breakdown. And second is going to be an overall scenario of why Tiani is successful versus seeing a lot of jewelry brands shaking at this period of time. We are price sensitive. When you look at a jewelry brand, overall, 80% of their sale comes from gold jewelry versus 20% comes from the segment that is the diamond jewelry.
Okay.
In 20% diamond jewelry, only 10% is Polki jewelry. Now we are starting backward.
Okay.
We are starting with that 10% being 80% of our jewelry, 80% of our top line.
Got it.
And 20% is diamonds and there's no gold right now. It was a very conscious decision. So in $100 or in 100 rupees, 65 rupees is the cost of the goods.
Got it.
35 rupees is the gross margin. We are very, very, very hands-on as a company. So we ensure that no more than, depending on city, 3 to 5% is our rental value. 5 to 6% is our marketing.
Okay.
Another 5 to 6% is our operational costs in totality. About 7% is going to be our interest costs on the entire proposition.
Right.
So we end up somewhere roughly, if you will do your maths, at about 20 to 22%, grossing anywhere between 12 to 14%, depending on the volume of sale of in which segment.
Yeah.
So for example, our Bangalore store ends up selling more of Polki jewelry than diamond jewelry. So they end up grossing anywhere between 15 to 16%.
Got it.
Our Delhi store is the same. Our Mumbai store is 12 to 13% because we have a healthy mixture of diamonds as well as Polki.
Got it.
Our Hyderabad store is the same as Bombay store, but Hyderabad volumes are larger. So what we did is, this is to answer your the 100 rupee spend.
Sure.
The ideology behind Tiani was, and we've taken our time. I sometimes when I see these brands saying, private equity invested, open 50 stores. And when I go to the stores and understand unit economics, every store is doing 10 to 12 lakh rupees worth of business. The cost of ops is anywhere between 5 to 6 lakh rupees, and that store is burning 2 to 3 lakhs. No, when you talk about money burn, in certain spheres or certain businesses, great, you must do it. Jewelry is not like any other business. Jewelry is an emotion. Jewelry is value driven. Jewelry is everything which deters and has been deterring most PEs for over a large period of time, putting money into it.
Sure.
So what Tyani did is, first thing we built are 8 flagship stores. Make sure that the 8 flagship stores are profitable and sustainable. Plus our online business is successful. Now I have a good amount of money which we are sitting on. And what we did is, in the last 1 year, we started to really focus a lot on data and better ERP systems. What it came to give us a realization is, in our metro cities, where we have these 8 store station, from neighboring cities, people come in to buy jewelry from these cities, and we started to track their purchasing. And what that purchasing revealed to us is that jewelry, which was being purchased by most of these neighboring cities, comprised of like a 4 to 5 crore rupee investment value from which they were plucking their selections.
Okay.
Now, when I was living in India, I would want to go abroad to shop. Why? Ye collection is not available in India. You have to go and buy this from London, you have to go and buy from New York. But I said, but the same brand, if you're dropping a collection there, why not here?
Yeah.
Back in the day, when a movie would release in America, 1 month later it would release in India.
Correct.
I mean, for what good?
Yeah.
So these cities, which are tier 2 and tier 3 cities, are aspirational, have money, but don't want to wait or travel to another city because it's got better selection.
Sure.
So after understanding this, exactly a month back, we dropped a business model, which is a 4 crore rupee business model, in which that very inventory would be the same at all locations. So if you wanted to buy in a particular price range, and if there were 100 SKUs in Bombay or Mumbai, and there were 100 SKUs in Delhi or Calcutta or other places, I would also find it in the Ranchi.
Okay.
So we are starting, for example, a store in Jammu. I mean, one would not expect Jammu to carry the same level of inventory that Mumbai would carry. But who says that the Jammu customers wanting to buy any lesser? They're just opening up their Instagram and seeing everything.
Yeah.
If you're going to see the world on your fingertips, you want to wear that.
Yeah.
You don't want to say, oh, I'll compromise because mere city mein I don't have a good jeweler whom I can go and return my jewelry back to, and who's going to travel to Bombay, will he recognize me next time? My teams came up with this brilliant strategy. They studied the market and they're ready to roll out. So it's been a great learning. And like you were mentioning, is that whatever, eventually it's going to be an audience who wants to live in today's day and time, and whatever anyone else can achieve, they want to achieve the same.
What is fascinating is that, you've crafted a business model which can also thrive in tier 1 as well as in tier 2. And very few business models have this unique nature where they can do both. Shravan, one of the things that we see across the board is India's per capita income is rising. People are getting wealthier. And therefore, there are new luxury brands getting created, which wouldn't be able to exist maybe a few years ago. If somebody were an entrepreneur creating in the luxury business today, what would your advice be to that person about building a brand in this category?
While India is growing rapidly, and while they are open to luxury commodities, they are also getting more and more educated and more well-traveled. So when you travel well, you will see that most people, and to be very honest with you, although I'm in the business, would rate jewelry as a way down in terms of branding perspective. There is no brand in India on the luxury front where I've seen personally, even though I run a brand which is known for its commitment to higher standards. But there's seldom when you'll see somebody saying that, oh, I'm wearing an everyday wear bracelet from this brand and flaunt its logo. Like when you see international brands, jewelry brands, people are flaunting their logo, flaunting their style, saying, I bought this from so and so, I brought that. India still has not reached there on the jewelry front. So for anyone who's going to be aspirational to build a jewelry brand, be very aware of the fact that it requires a very, very, very heavy amount of money spent, and you are still 10 years away from that realization. So if you can sustain yourself for about 10 or 15 years and keep hammering away at building that brand and are hopeful that the next generation or next crop of individuals is going to hold you in that respect or that light, great, do it. But my suggestion is to just stay true to yourself, true to your business, go and do your best, create a luxury brand per se, but don't expect it to have that level of recall value in terms of design. Luxury jewelry has its highest recall value based on everyday wear essentials. So when you look at the larger brands across internationally, while they may create the most beautiful pieces of jewelry, you will still talk about their everyday wear luxury segment as the one which is scaling.
Sure.
And every jeweler looks at, yes, this is my niche designing, but my smaller, that is going to be only for the red carpet. But my everyday wear essentials is what is going to make me that money, is going to imprint my value. And that person is going to carry my brand across all boundaries. So that, oh, you bought from this brand, and I will proudly say I bought from this brand. I don't see that happening in India in the near recent future. So I would say tread that grounds a little cautiously.
Yeah, I love the insight there that, while you might have a high value product, having something which the person can wear, whether it's a jewelry or a belt or whatever, more regularly so that the recall value builds, I think is an incredibly important insight. Shravan, you are in the business of jewelry, you're seeing money flow throughout. How do you manage your own wealth?
I look at a healthy investment into the stock markets, and that's the best option. I also do invest into real estate, and I have my money put into the entire jewelry segment. 70% is allocated towards my business, 10% is towards real estate, and 20% of my money is handed to you to manage in mutual funds. The reason I do that is because from history, I have seen that it's very easy to bifurcate liquid money in the form of mutual funds. Whether it is even to pass down to my children, it's very, very, very easily segregated with first name of holder, second name of holder, and becomes much easier to work around.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great compounding asset and a legacy investment. And thank you for partnering with us on your wealth journey. What has your experience been with Deserve? And if I can ask the upsides and the downsides also.
When I started off initially investing with Deserve, and you guys were relatively new back then, your team strengths have matured today and your size is way larger with you guys managing such a hefty portfolio. It brings about confidence not only in us but in other people as well, because the first thing you want to know is your money in safe hands? So having invested in the right instruments with, like you always say, invest in simple, headache-free instruments rather than looking at a faster churn has been a great learning at Deserve. The negative part is that you don't let us take too many risks, so you keep it balanced, which is actually the right thing to do.
No, absolutely. I think you're taking risk in your own business and you're compounding as a result of it. Our job is to be preservers of your wealth.
Yes.
I think this has been a great conversation, Shravan. I have learned a lot about your business. I loved how candidly you've spoken about everything around it, and obviously your partnership with Karan, with the thought process behind the brand and the values. I think a lot for all of us to learn from. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
this. Thank you.